Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday. Thank you for joining the Virtual College Exploration webinar today. For all Ohio students, excited for the presentation you're about to hear. First, a couple of announcements that I want to share with you. So, just as you signed up and registered for this event on oacac.org, you'll be able to have the opportunity to sign up for more sessions after today on that same website. If for some reason you need to hop off, we will be recording this session, or if you find this session to be really helpful and you want to listen to it again or share with your friends, absolutely be sure to find the recording back on oacac.org after today. Wanted to share that students and counselors, you will be muted and your video is turned off, so you'll only be able to see our presenters today. But we want to interact and engage with you. So with that being said, please use the Q&A feature. That is how we'll chat and answer any questions you may have throughout the presentation. If they don't get to your question, they will eventually, because the presenters do have access to all questions asked today. So without further ado, I am going to hop off and turn it over to our presenters. Thank you all for joining.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm here with two of my colleagues from other institutions in Southeastern Ohio. My name is Dan Yates, and I happily serve as the Associate Director for Outreach and Recruitment at Ohio University. And we'll have the other panelists introduce themselves as we go along this afternoon. But we definitely wanted to get together as a group of institutions from Southeastern Ohio and just inform you a little bit about what offerings you can choose from, what institutions are available in Southeastern Ohio. We think it's definitely a hidden gem of the state. So as we go through, we will discuss a couple different myths that we've heard from students and families and counselors alike as we've been talking to students and families throughout the years and recruiting students to our institutions here in Southeastern Ohio. So I'm happy to be joined by Katie and Rob from Marietta College and from Hocking College. So we will go ahead and start getting into the presentation here with Katie starting with some institutions.
All right, so yes, my name is Katie Fennell. I'm the Director of Admission at Marietta College. I've been here for about 6 years, but really this slide, we're really proud of the institutions that we serve, but we have a lot of other friends in the Southeast Ohio area. So this is a quick look at different types of schools that are in this general area, whether it's a 2-year, 4-year private schools, 4-year public schools, there's a little bit of everything. So no matter what type of school you might be considering, or maybe you're keeping your options completely open, there's a little bit of something for everybody down in beautiful Southeast Ohio. So we're going to go into a quick overview of our own institutions, and first up is Hocking College.
Thank you, Katie. My name is Rob Weiler, and I'm the Director of the Admissions Department here at Hocking College. And I'm really glad that you guys are here joining us today. And just tell you a little bit of overview about Hocking. We're a 2-year college located in Nelsonville, Ohio. Beautiful campus. We're on over 2,300 acres, really a picturesque area. As a whole, Southeastern Ohio, and specifically even our land area on our main campus. Also talking about degree and certificate programs, which I think is unique, 50+ degree and certificate programs. I know for me as an alum from Hocking College, it was those unique program offerings that brought me to this area. I'm originally from the Toledo area, so it was some of those aspects that really interested me. Really unique hands-on learning environment. Our students are really enmeshed in their programs, having hands-on real-world experience every day in the classroom. And one of the things that's really unique about us as a 2-year college is that we have on-campus dormitories. So many folks, when they think about a 2-year college, they think about that local school, commuter school, maybe stay at home, close to home, and commute to, where we're really different. We have lots of different opportunities for students not only to live on campus, off campus. It draws students from all over the state and the region, but also we've got student athletics. So we have archery and equestrian team, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, football. So lots of things for students to be involved in here in regards to athletics. Also really rich campus life in regards to student clubs and organizations and things to do while they're here as part of that campus community. And the last thing is unique is all-inclusive pricing. So our students, if they get on our majors page, check out any one of our majors, look at the curriculum. When you see the pricing per program, it not only includes students' tuition, course fees, but also it includes all of their materials, tools of the trade, and their textbooks, which was really a big thing for me a couple years back when we rolled this out, meaning that students who attend our institution, all of those fees and textbooks are included in that cost. So just a few things that are unique about us as an institution, and I'll go ahead and hand it back off to Katie to tell you guys a little bit about Marietta College.
All right, thanks, Rob. So yes, again, my name is Katie. Hello, and I've been at Marietta College for 6 years, and I'm now a townie. I'm a local of Marietta, Ohio. I grew up in a bigger city in Indiana, but I've now made Marietta, Ohio my home. So I really love it. It's a beautiful area. Marietta, Ohio is a city of about 15,000 people, so definitely a small town feel. And we are a private 4-year liberal arts institution. And I think a lot of people, when they hear liberal arts institution, think, okay, they just have the humanities, right? English, history, maybe some fine arts degrees. And while we're really proud of those programs that we do have, we would like to think we're kind of a modern twist on liberal arts. We have engineering programs, we have a ton of business degrees. So whether you're thinking more of the sciences and STEM fields, or if you're thinking communication, English, we've got something for you. We are on the smaller end of school sizes. We have about 1,200 students, mostly undergraduate students. We do have a couple graduate programs, including our physician's assistant and athletic training degrees, but mostly undergraduate students. Like I mentioned, we do have over 50 different majors. And right here, I've listed our most popular 5 of our incoming students. These are the majors I see over and over again of students who are matriculating to Marietta College. Petroleum engineering is a popular one here. Education, leadership, which leadership's a little bit different. It's a great major to complement any kind of other degree you might be seeking. And we are one of 2 undergraduate leadership programs in the country. So something a little unique to Marietta. Anything in the health sciences, and then business. Especially for our liberal arts school, we have a pretty big business program with about 12 or 13 different business degrees. So again, whatever you're kind of thinking about profession-wise, there's probably something down here for you. We are a residential campus, so about 95% of our students live right on campus all 4 years. And you can see a couple different pictures on our slide of our campus, and we are right on the Ohio River. Right across the Ohio River is West Virginia, so that kind of gives you an idea of where we are geographically. So love to answer any kind of questions about Marietta College, but for right now, I will turn it over to Ohio University.
All right, thanks, Katie. One of I think the really cool things about this panel is, and as you saw earlier in the presentation, Southeastern Ohio has 2-year institutions, 4-year public, 4-year private, and the 3 of us really represent those institutions as a whole. So you're getting some perspectives from the various voices that are available in Southeastern Ohio. So where Ohio University sits on that spectrum is in the 4-year public institution kind of range. So we are a little bit larger. We have about 16 to 17,000 undergraduate students. We are in Athens, Ohio, which is kind of right in the middle, you could say, of Marietta and Nelsonville. We're in Athens County, but Southeastern Ohio is just a really great spot to come to if you are looking to pursue higher education. And then we have over 250 different academic programs to choose from. So this can be overwhelming at first, but I think the overall picture is if you are coming in undecided to an institution, having a lot of different options can be beneficial. Is trying to figure out what you want to do and where you want to go academically, and the fact that we have so many different options at our institution, but then also if you combine that with the other institutions that are not only on this panel, but across the Southeastern Ohio region, there are a lot of different options for you to choose from academically. So if you're interested in pursuing a number of different things, I would definitely encourage you to check out not only our institutions, but look at some of the other options that are within the area as well. Some of the pictures on the screen, you can kind of get a sense of what Ohio University looks like and what Athens, Ohio looks like. It is also a pretty small town, has about 25 or so thousand residents. But as you're stepping foot on campus for the first time as an undergraduate student, like I mentioned, the size of our undergraduate population, when you're joining our medical degree students and our master's and PhD students, the city of Athens pretty much doubles. And I would venture to say that most of the institutions in Southeastern Ohio, when students are back on campus and when things are back in session and in the full swing of things, the population of the town is almost doubled in most cases. So, you know, the experiences that you receive, not only in Athens, Ohio and at Ohio University, but across the Southeastern Ohio region at our institutions, is a really great student and community atmosphere. So as we go through, we'll start talking about some of those myths, which we'll go ahead and kick off with Katie and what is there to do in Southeastern Ohio and at our institutions.
Absolutely. So when we were putting this presentation together, we were all kind of giggling because the one question I feel like I get all the time is, do you guys even have cell service down there? Do you have internet? And the answer is yes, we absolutely do. Or, you know, I think there might be a perception, maybe if you're from a bigger high school or you're from a bigger town, you know, going to a smaller city or maybe a school smaller than your high school, there's not going to be anything for me to do. And that's just not true. So this is kind of what this slide is going to go over, all the different options and possibilities that you can do and get involved in over all three of our institutions. One being athletics, and Rob kind of touched on it a little bit. Whether it is Hocking, Marietta, OU, you can play varsity athletics at any one of our institutions. And they are competitive and they're all at different levels. So maybe you don't want to do varsity athletics. We all have really great intramural opportunities as well. You're going to hear a common theme on this slide. It's really whatever you want your experience to be. You can probably have that experience at all three different institutions that we're representing. Same thing with the arts. And I get it. Again, I'm from a bigger city. You know, are there going to be museums, fine art opportunities, different shows to go see, different like cultural experiences? You can absolutely have those types of experiences at all of our institutions. I kind of took it upon myself. I looked at all three of our websites today, and I just kind of looked down the events calendar to see what was going on campus, either today, tomorrow, or maybe even yesterday. And I wrote them all down because they vary, very greatly. So this isn't in any particular order, but over just the three schools that are represented today, Hocking, Marietta, and OU, there are a bunch of outdoor movies going on, theater clubs, pickup soccer games, wildlife clubs, Greek recruitment, trivia nights, music nights, a lot of community service opportunities, community art events, comedy nights, and election debates, since that is coming around the corner. So that's just over 3 days, and that just barely scratches the surface. So if you kind of close your eyes and think about, oh, that's my senior year in college, oh, that's me killing it, whatever that looks like to you, odds are you can probably have that come to fruition at any one of our institutions. Outdoor activities, I'm sure you saw by the pictures that were shown on the previous slides, we are in a really beautiful part of the country, and outdoor recreation comes really naturally to us, whether it's on the river, on a hiking trail, biking trail. I'm not a runner, I'm definitely a walker though. Lots of beautiful forests in the area, you know, kayaking, canoeing, you name it. We really like to embrace the natural beauty that's right in our backyard. We already talked about cell service and internet. So yes, you can stay connected to home or friends who maybe are in different parts of the country. But really what I'm trying to get at is that we all have a really bustling campus life, and your campus involvement is really what you want to make it. So whether it's at a small school, big school, again, my high school that I graduated from had 5,000 students in it, and I ended up going to a university half that size in the middle of a cornfield. I did not go to Marietta, but you can have a really great experience even not in a big metropolitan area. So if you have any kind of questions about campus life, feel free to leave them in the Q&A. But with that being said, let's move on to our next myth about outcomes and internships.
Thanks, Katie. I think as I talk to students and families, across the state and around, the country, one of the big pieces of information that they're interested in are outcomes and internship opportunities, co-op experiences, because your ultimate goal, wherever you're heading after you graduate high school or wherever you're headed into for your college experience, your ultimate goal is to graduate and either work, jump right into the workforce after you graduate or head off to graduate school. Or if you're looking to continue your education, if you start at one of our two-year institutions, graduate with that associate's degree, and then you can also jump right into the workforce or head off to complete a bachelor's degree. So outcomes, internships, co-op experiences is always a big question that I know we in Southeastern Ohio often get because we are in more of a rural area. One of the big things that I get asked all the time are, am I limited to just experiences or internships in Southeastern Ohio? And if that's the case, what are those, experiences? What do those look like? What organizations or companies are available for me to get those internships and work experiences? And I think the fact is, yes, there are experiences that you can get in Southeastern Ohio that will be fantastic, that are going to build your resume, that are going to springboard you into that next step in your career or your education, that you're going to gain a lot of that experience that you're looking for, even in Southeastern Ohio. But I would say at all of our institutions, we are also pretty competitive when it comes to the overall landscape of student recruitment to jobs and to internships. We have job and internship fairs on our campus where we have companies and organizations that are coming in from around Ohio and across the country to specifically recruit our students. So it's not just limited to institutions or companies or organizations in Southeastern Ohio. We have, big Fortune 500 companies that'll come to campus. There are department-specific job and internship fairs that I know, at Hocking College, there's one of the big employers with their natural resource department is the Ohio Division of Natural Resources. They're coming to campus to recruit you to maybe be, employed in the Cleveland area or whatever the case is. There's so many different opportunities that you are able to get connected to national organizations, national companies on our campuses in Southeastern Ohio. So you do not have to attend an institution in a major metropolitan area in order to get internships or jobs in major metropolitan areas. I know as an example for our institution at Ohio University, we have like a summer in LA program. So students are getting internships in Los Angeles, or they're headed up to New York, or even just in Columbus, which is not too far away. Maybe that's closer to their hometown, or maybe you're coming from a city and you're wanting to get that Southeastern Ohio, family feel for your education, but ultimate goal is to head back to that city and take an internship or job at one of the local businesses that are there. All of those scenarios are very possible. So don't think that just because you are attending an institution in a smaller area or in Southeastern Ohio, that your options will be limited because of that location. Oftentimes, that might be even a benefit of attending an institution in Southeastern Ohio because we have institutions that are specifically coming to our area to recruit our students. So it's definitely an opportunity to get involved in some of those. Another big question is, internships or co-ops. Like I mentioned, those are definitely available and those can be paid. So at an institution that might be offering, co-ops or internships, and they're touting that they will be paid because they're in a larger metropolitan area, you will have the exact same experiences and the exact same opportunities by attending our institutions in Southeastern Ohio. And then support, I think, is also pretty important to talk about when you are looking for taking that next step into your career, into your internship, into graduate school. All of our institutions will have that same support available. And if you're, attending maybe even a smaller institution, that support might be a little bit more one-on-one and individual. So, within all of our institutions, I've mentioned job and internship fairs, career services will be available. You'll have, assistance in maybe writing a resume or a cover letter or any number of things that you need to take advantage of the internship opportunities that are put in front of you. I would bet that all of our institutions across Southeastern Ohio are wanting and willing and able to make sure you are well equipped to take that next step. Because honestly, some of our best, stories come from our students. We want to be able to use you as an example in our future, conversations with students and families of, can you believe that this student, attended our institution and got an internship with so-and-so, company, and then ultimately has won an Emmy Award for their music composition on the, Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Like those stories are true. They happen on all of our campuses. The experiences that student receives in Southeastern Ohio and in our institutions are going to be paralleled at any institution across Ohio and around the country. So, like I said, the big myth is that the institutions or the experiences that you will receive here in Southeastern Ohio may not be on par, or you may not have the advantages of an institution in more of a metropolitan area. And I can tell you from my experience, and I'm sure that my colleagues would agree, the opportunities are available for you. Ultimately, you just have to take that step and utilize the services. It's very easily done to attend a big major city institution, but not take that step into those opportunities as well. So while they exist, it does have a little bit of onus on you as the student to make sure that you are seizing those opportunities and utilizing the resources that are available on our campuses. So definitely keep that in mind as you're looking at institutions, as you're trying to figure out what your next step is, whether that's graduate school, whether that's continuing education, whether that's going right into a job that you have worked so hard for. The opportunities definitely exist in Southeastern Ohio.
Well,
I'm going
Dan, can I comment on one thing with you there?
Please do.
Yeah. Well, thinking about, what you were talking about there, I think a lot of this opportunity goes to what the students get out of it. The opportunity is there. It's about the student taking the initiative to access and engage with those resources and those opportunities that are present. So for those of you joining us today, thinking about that, as Dan mentioned, those opportunities are definitely there. I think the piece of encouragement and advice I'd give to you is be that engaged student, knowing that you're the one that stands out. And to Dan's effect, and you guys might be able to speak to this as well, but I know for our institution, when we host our job fair, I think last year we had close to 100 different regional employers, all out of state employers, we had a myriad of individuals here. But there was also a lot of alums. So knowing that they were individuals that as students had an internship, became a professional in that field, they know what that educational opportunity from all of our institutions provided them. And they see the value in what it produced in their life. And many times that connection, I think, is where students have that opportunity to do that, knowing that individuals see value in our graduates and what they have to offer. So, but I just want to chime in. I thought that was a great point you made about that level of engagement. And I would just encourage you guys all to consider that wherever you decide to attend.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rob. And there's a saying on our campus, and I'm sure you all have the same, that Bobcats love hiring Bobcats. So, those Bobcats that have graduated, that have been given that opportunity, that have worked their way up, that might be, an executive in New York, they will come back because they love their experience at our institutions and they just want to hire another Bobcat to get that same experience. So yeah, those experiences do exist, and utilizing those opportunities and those resources, like Rob echoed, is super important. All right, I'm going to kick it back over to Rob to talk about our next myth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. So, thinking about this myth of diversity, and I think for me as well, it's part of it is looking at it through the lens of my experience, right? So, even when I thought about this was kind of, one of the things that I thought about when I made a decision to attend Hocking College. So, I'm an inner city kid, grew up in the city, Thinking about coming to rural southeastern Ohio, there was a lot of different things that ran through my mind about that. Now, for me, the outdoor piece that Katie referred to earlier, I think really we're the gem of Ohio when it comes to that. We're the most beautiful part of the state. I'll own that, it's a beautiful region, right? And I think for me, having an interest in outdoor pursuits that I got interested in and exposed to as a teenager, there was pieces that I think for me, that made me feel more comfortable. But also there was a lot of those myths thinking about, as I make this transition from a larger urban area and I come to this rural environment, what is that local community going to be like? How will I be received? How will people engage with me? And I think, for me, just sharing a little bit about this, in my journey, where I grew up in my life experience, my local community, and this is different for everybody. So your experience may be completely different from mine, but I think it's just important to know and understand. For me, growing up, when you walk down the street, you didn't make eye contact with somebody. If you made eye contact with somebody, it was almost challenging, right? It was like, who are you? Is there a problem? Whatever it was, city life, city culture was different in that. Where the first time I came to southeastern Ohio and I came through Nelsonville, I'm walking down the road and somebody's, hey, how you doing? And I'm kind of standoffish, like, do I know you? Why are you speaking to me? So for me, culturally, when thinking about that myth of a closed community and, am I going to be engaged? That was a big piece for me. I tell students the other one all the time is, for me, driving in a vehicle, if you see somebody waving their hands, or putting their hand up, it's usually not an appropriate or polite gesture in the city. Where, down here, I passed somebody and they're driving a big pickup truck and they gave me one of those. I didn't know what that was. I passed a guy and said, why did he flip me off, right? But I learned later it's a steering wheel wave. I didn't know what that was, right? So for me and just my life experience, that was one of the things that I think was a myth for me. What is it going to be like? Is it going to be a closed community? Is it going to be individuals that aren't accepting of me or somebody from my background or life experience? And to that effect, I think, personally, it was a great experience for me. I found it to be southeastern Ohio an extremely welcoming, not only campus community, but local community environment. So much so, I'm from Toledo. My wife is from Lorain, also in the city there. And we fell in love with this region, right? It was great. The community, the sense of belonging, all of those pieces that came into play ultimately is what influenced us to stay in this area and decide to raise a family as well. So those myths about, the community's closed-minded, not welcoming to students, those definitely were myths that I can say from my experience that, I know were different. When we talk about too the idea of that campus culture and that campus diversity, sometimes individuals may think there's a lack of diversity on the community campus, or that will I fit in? And Dan and Katie, feel free to chime in at any point on this. But I think it ties in with a couple pieces we mentioned already about is what is your level of engagement? And Katie did a great job talking about here's the opportunities for student involvement. It's really finding what is that niche or that group of individuals that you find comfort in and that you can relate and connect to other students. I think part of this college journey though as well is stretching beyond your comfort zone, right? Being exposed to other things that you may have never known, never experienced, that really kind of that the Southeastern Ohio colleges and colleges in general afford students that opportunity. For me, I wasn't very cultured in the arts. Having an opportunity to take some ceramics classes and do some other stuff outside of that, those were cool, right? But it was exposure, and it was me being able to have that experience. So, I think when that myth of, will I fit in? Am I going to find anybody like me? For my experience personally, and from talking with lots of students, there's always something to be involved in, many students with similar interests, and even opportunities for you to grow beyond where you're at now to explore other areas that I have interest in. And more importantly, finding individuals who are not only like you, but I think building connections with individuals who are not like you. And that's one of the things that I think all of our institutions do and do well is that, we have completely different life experiences, but through us sharing common experiences on campus, relationships are built that kind of embrace that level of diversity. So I don't know, Dan, Katie, if there's anything you guys want to chime in there or talk about what it's like for you specifically on your campuses.
I would echo what Rob was saying, about that Southeastern Ohio hospitality of like a wave or a smile or, it's as you're walking on the street, I think at any of our institutions, you may see someone and you might see someone you don't know, but you're still waving and smiling and saying hey because they're a member of your community, a member of your institution. So there's a lot of those opportunities that exist, like Rob was saying, to get involved, regardless of your political views or religious views or ethnic or racial background. There's opportunities that are on our campuses that you will find your fit. You will find people that have similar values and beliefs that you do, that can be in your corner. So regardless of kind of where you're coming from or what your background looks like, you can definitely bet that you will find those same people or very similar people on our campuses.
And I think the last thing I just wanted to note on this, and even a couple of the pictures there, thinking about those experiences culturally on our campuses to engage with other people. I know Marietta, you guys had the multicultural fair, and for me, if you're meeting with people and sharing food, it's always good, right? So, thinking about that experience, even at OU, the MLK brunch every year, I know my family, friends in the community, we're always a part of that piece as it happens with the march from Galbraith Chapel, and even things here at Hocking with our homecoming events and different events where we bring folks in from across the community and the campus. They're all really great opportunities for us to connect and share experiences.
Absolutely. So we have a big Lunar New Year celebration every year. We celebrate Kuwaiti National Day, and I've learned so much, and it's a great opportunity for our students from those areas to show off and kind of, be proud of where they're coming from. I've eaten some really great food. You are right. That's the best part. And, even our students from at least, in our backyard, they're just as nervous about fitting in and trying new things too. And so I think that's kind of a great, I don't know if this is the right, even playing field. Everyone wants to try new things, meet new people, regardless of where they're coming from. And I know our institutions have folks from all across the country and all across the world. And so that is a great feeling. I love the first couple of weeks of school because everyone's doors are always open. Everyone's wanting to meet everybody else. And that hospitality is really great.
Awesome.
All right, well, those were the 3 myths that we wanted to touch on, and probably the 3 most popular myths that the 3 of us often hear. And I would imagine if you reach out to any of our other colleagues in Southeastern Ohio, they would probably echo the same thing, that they hear some very similar questions from students and families as they are going through the college search and decision process and exploring or considering their specific institution. So hopefully hearing from the 3 of us and from the 3 different types of institutions you can find in Southeastern Ohio, you kind of get a better sense of what might be available within our area. I know myself, and I'm sure Katie and Rob would welcome any specific questions that you have for our specific institutions or Southeastern Ohio institutions in general. Our contact information is on the screen, so you're welcome to call or email any one of us as you're going through this process. But I'm going to leave this up for just a second and then maybe stop sharing my screen so we can kind of all maybe answer a couple questions that you might have regarding what we talked about, or any other questions that you might be having about colleges or universities in Southeastern Ohio.
So I've got a question just for us in general. I know all of us probably agree that visiting is really important because fit inevitably is really important, whether it's academic fit, social fit, kind of what we're talking about today, financial fit, all those pieces. And you never know what you're going to like until maybe you get on campus and feel the vibes a little bit. And I know the world is in a little bit of a crazy state right now, but what kind of opportunities, I don't know if we want to go through, are there at OU, at Hocking to visit, whether that's on campus or virtually, if a student wants to learn more?
I can go ahead and start.
Okay, I was going to say, go ahead.
waiting to see if Rob would jump in there. So yes, visiting is super important. And this is an odd time for both parties, you all being in the driver's seat of trying to figure out where you may want to go and starting or continuing the search and decision process. And then for us as institutions to try to figure out how we can best navigate this with you all and keep everyone safe, happy, and healthy, right? So with Ohio University, we're currently not doing any in-person visits. We've done a lot of work to stand up some virtual events similar to this. We have information sessions, we have our virtual campus tour, but the really cool twist that we're putting on that is it's led by one of our current student tour guides. So they're walking you through our virtual campus tour. You can still interact with them as you're going through. So right now we are not offering any in-person visits, and it's, that might change tomorrow. It might change next week. So keep your eyes on our websites. And if there's any other institution in Southeastern Ohio, aside from our institutions that you're kind of considering or looking at, I'd encourage you to check out their websites to see what they might be doing as well. I know our administration is keeping a close eye on what the CDC is saying as we are in Athens, which is a small town like we mentioned, and they're trying to make sure that the faculty, staff, students, and the community members alike are staying as safe as possible. So right now, I'd encourage you to check out, if you're interested in Ohio University, check out our virtual visit website and see what might fit within your schedule and what opportunities might be coming up here in the very near future. Or if you want to interact with one of our students, hop on one of those virtual campus tours is a great experience. So that's kind of what we're doing currently, but like I said, that could change tomorrow depending on what our administration decides. So Rob, what's going on at Hocking?
Yeah. Honestly, Dan, ours is pretty similar. We currently aren't able to have visitors on campus physically. We also have a virtual tour set up. We're hoping starting the week of the 28th, we're going to be launching a virtual campus visits on set days of the week to try and engage with groups and do some of the normal dialogue that we would do in those in-person visits, along with video with a student-led tour. And actually, we've had a couple of our student ambassadors, 3 of them actually were the ones that kind of went through and did that tour. And we're going to have them available for some of that Q&A. So right now we're encouraging students, go ahead and go to our webpage, take a look at the virtual tour, and then check back with us in about 2 weeks as we'll start scheduling those in person with students. And then as far as physical visits on campus, again, our administration as well is following those CDC guidelines. Want to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. We anticipate, though, sometime after Thanksgiving, we may try to do some of those smaller in-person visits. But check out our visit page. It's going to have the most up-to-date information, and reach out if you have any questions.
I'm going to sound like a broken record. We do have some on-campus opportunities, but they're very limited to like numerically and what you can do on campus. But if you still just want to step on campus, there are some available. So if you just go to our visit page, it'll walk you through that. But there are way more virtual opportunities, and they're very casual. So even if you can't stay through a whole session, you just want to pop in. And I'm sure that goes for all of us speaking here and for a lot of other institutions. Feel free to do so to get your questions answered or just to hear more. So thanks.
A great question, Katie. That's definitely important as students are trying to figure out what they are wanting to do. And the last point I would make on visits, specifically to our institutions, make a weekend of it. There's so much beauty in Southeastern Ohio and so much to explore that, I would definitely encourage you to swing by one institution, maybe swing by another one in the afternoon, and then hang out in Hocking Hills for the weekend, or hang out by the Ohio River. There's so much really cool stuff to do in Southeastern Ohio that Katie kind of touched on her slide. So make a weekend of it, make a trip, especially if you're coming from a ways away. Check out a couple institutions in our area just to kind of weigh your options and see what's all available, because we would love to showcase some of the exciting things that are happening in Southeastern Ohio. Speaking of that, question for the both of you, and I'm happy to jump in as well. Being that we all live in Southeastern Ohio, what is your favorite thing to do?
Katie, do you know yours?
Eating is probably my favorite. even in a small town, there are so many different places to eat, from places that have like Middle Eastern food, Indian food, Chinese, Japanese. I mean, there's so many different types of food. So my sister, kind of to echo what Dan was just saying, my sister and my mom come down to Marietta at least 3 times a year to make a weekend of it. And I always have an agenda, but most importantly, we're going through the restaurants and figuring out what we're eating. So I would say eating, which I know is kind of an easy answer, but it's my favorite.
Very cool. Very cool. I think for me, really outdoor pursuits, fishing, hunting, me, my family, my wife, my kids, those are our things. And I mean, it's one of the best parts of the state, like I said earlier. And there's a lot of opportunities too. That was one of the things I liked even as a student, not being a landowner per se, but the public access opportunities, it's tremendous. So that's what I enjoy.
I also enjoy outdoor activities and eating. I think we all could kind of get in an argument over the best coffee shop or best food that that our institutions could, or our students or community members could showcase or provide. But maybe aside from those two things, it's the small town gems that I think you can find. Like in Athens over the summer, if you find yourself still on campus or in Athens, the Southeastern Ohio Copperheads, which is a summer league baseball team, they play on our campus. Those games are so much fun. Sometimes you don't pay attention to what's happening on the field because there's so much extra activity happening about, giveaway here, or, throw the baseball in the bucket here, some performing something on the dugout. I mean, they're so fun to go and just hang out. And then the performing arts series, that makes their way through Athens and through Southeastern Ohio, that, you can find a Broadway production on our campus or in our area, and you don't have to travel to Columbus and pay an arm and a leg for some of those tickets that you can, experience right in Southeastern Ohio for maybe $30, $35. So there's a lot of that kind of fun stuff that happens as well, in addition to eating some delicious food and going on some beautiful hikes and outdoor activities.
Cool.
Well, you all are making me hungry now. I feel like I need to take a trek down to Southeast Ohio. I want to say thank you to Katie, Dan, and Rob. Before I share my screen, is there anything, last parting words you want to share with students, counselors out there listening?
I would just say thanks for tuning in and considering some institutions in Southeastern Ohio, or learning more, maybe a little bit more about our institutions that you came in maybe not knowing. Like we've all said, there are so many great options, both on the 2-year side, the 4-year public side, the 4-year private side. Really any type of institution that you might be looking for, you can find in Southeastern Ohio. So there's opportunities there. There's places that you can really find your fit and find some friends that will last a lifetime at our institution. So I would, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. And we would, like I said, welcome any questions that you might have about our specific institutions or about Southeastern Ohio in general by reaching out to any one of us.
Wonderful. Thank you all. And to the students, families, counselors tuning in, thank you for joining us today. Just a few closing items. There will be a quick survey upon finishing this session. So when you close out of your window, 4 questions, really quick. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide on today's information session. And then please go back to oacac.org where you registered for this to find more information sessions with these wonderful people. They're offering not only this session, but I know a lot of them are presenting in many other different sessions, and know that, again, this was recorded. So please share the good word with any of your friends or family. All right. You all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.